We're always looking to the future for the next big thing, right? But what if a key to solving some of our biggest problems has actually been hiding in plain sight for the last 200 years? Well, today we're going to dive into this quiet revolution that's happening on the world's railways. A seriously high-tech reinvention that could completely reshape our future.
I know, it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? How can a technology from the age of steam possibly solve the problems of our digital, climate-conscious world? But as you're about to see, the humble train is getting a radical upgrade, one that's positioning it to tackle two of our planet's most monumental hurdles in some really unexpected ways.
So what are we talking about here? Two huge, seemingly separate problems. First, the tangled-up mess of global trade, and second, the urgent need to slash our carbon footprint. You can kind of think of these as the planet's software and hardware problems. And believe it or not, the railway has a revolutionary upgrade for both.
All right, first let's tackle the software. I want you to picture a freight train just speeding across a continent, only to just grind to a halt at a border. And the crazy part? The problem isn't the physical tracks. It's all these invisible walls of paperwork, clashing legal systems, and painfully slow manual inspections that just pop up the second it tries to cross from one country into another.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, you've got to break this bottleneck down into three different layers that are all connected. First up, you've got the technical layer. That's physical stuff, like the tracks literally being different widths. Then you've got the legal layer, where every single country wants its own specific set of documents. And finally, the operational layer, which is just chaos, like timetables that don't match up. So for a train to just glide across borders, you have to solve all three of these things at the same time. It's a real puzzle.
So what's the fix? Well, it's basically a massive software update for the entire global railway digitalization. I mean, think about it. We're moving from these huge stacks of paper that have to be physically handed over at every border to a shared, secure electronic data stream. It's all about creating this one unified digital language, like a common electronic consignment note, so railways and customs officials are all speaking the same lingo instantly before the train even pulls into the station.
So, does this digital stuff actually work? What's the impact? Well, get this. One study found that just by making the data flow smoothly, what they call e-interoperability, we could boost rail freight between Europe and Asia by a staggering 48% by 2030. That's a massive jump in efficiency, and it's all driven by swapping paper for pixels. Incredible.
And look, this isn't just theory. It's happening right now, out in the real world. There was this pilot project in Russia called Intertran that tested these very ideas on a route from Japan to Moscow. And the result? They cut the time it took to handle all the cargo and paperwork by a full 4 days. A 4-day saving just from going digital. That's huge. And we're seeing this kind of thing pop up all over the place. Take the Kino border crossing in Lithuania. They combined automatic scanners with that advanced digital info we talked about, and bam, they cut train handling time by 71%, from nearly 3 hours down to just 50 minutes. So yeah, the software revolution, it's definitely working. But, making trains super fast and efficient is only half the story if they're still polluting the planet.
Right, so solving that border problem is a game changer for sure. But it really is only half the story. Because at the end of the day, the world's most efficient, digitally connected railway is still a major climate problem if it's running on diesel. And that brings us to the second big revolution, the hardware upgrade. Okay, first things first, let's give credit where it's due. Rail is honestly already a bit of a climate hero. Even with all the traffic it handles, it's responsible for only 3% of all transport CO2 emissions. That's tiny. And that low starting point is exactly why this matters so much. Because getting that tiny slice of the pie down to absolute zero, that's a totally achievable goal, and it would have a massive impact.
And that, my friends, brings us to the really cool part, the new age of power. We are right on the edge of a hardware revolution that's making zero-emission rail a reality, finally giving us powerful, scalable alternatives to the old diesel engine.
So the two big players on the scene are battery electric trains and hydrogen fuel cell trains. And it's really not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. They're for different jobs. Think of battery trains as perfect for shorter routes where they can zip under overhead lines to recharge on the go. Hydrogen trains, though, they're like their own little mobile power plants, which makes them absolutely ideal for those long-haul routes in remote places where building overhead lines just doesn't make sense.
Okay, but let's be real. Is this just some sci-fi dream or is it actually happening? Well, to figure that out, the industry has this handy scale. It's called Rail Industry Readiness Levels, or IRRL for short. It basically ranks new tech from level 1, which is just an idea on a napkin, all the way up to level 9, which means it's fully mature and ready to go full scale.
So the big question is, where are these clean engines on that scale? Well, for most passenger trains and those smaller shunting locomotives, both battery and hydrogen tech are already at RIRL 9. That's the top level. What that means is, this isn't some far-off dream. These are proven, ready-to-buy, off-the-shelf solutions that we can start rolling out on a massive scale, like right now.
Okay, so now imagine putting these two massive revolutions together. You've got the software fix, those super smooth digital borders, and you've got the hardware upgrade, those clean zero-emission engines. When you combine them, you get something way more powerful than just a better train. You're actually building the foundation for a truly global network that's efficient and sustainable.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're not quite there yet. The tech is ready to go, but there are still some pretty big hurdles in the way. First up, you've got money. Getting these new projects funded past the early stages is tough. Second, we need common standards. You have to make sure a new battery train from one country can actually work with the systems in the next. And third, there's the political side, getting all the different countries to line up their transport and customs rules. See, the tech alone isn't enough. We really need everyone to work together on this.
And all of this brings us right back to where we started. By breaking down those invisible walls at the border and swapping out the old carbon-fueled heart of the locomotive for a clean one, the railway is totally reinventing itself. The potential here is just immense. So I'll leave you with this to think about. With smarter borders and cleaner engines, are we standing on the verge of a new golden age for the railway?